evening. Welcome to the January 22nd, 2026 meeting of the Minnetonka Planning Commission. The Commission generally meets twice a month, always on a Thursday. The schedule and tentative meeting agendas can be obtained by calling the Planning Division or by checking the city website at minnetonkamn.gov. The Commission holds public hearings on land use applications. For all land use applications, the city notifies property owners within at least 400 feet of the site and posts plans and information on the website. For some applications, the city also places signs on the properties or in the Sun-Sailor newspaper. From a specific process standpoint, the Commission makes recommendations to the City Council on rezonings, subdivisions, conditional use permits, and amendments to the city's comprehensive guide plan, zoning ordinance, and subdivision regulations. We also make final decisions on site plans, signage requests, variance requests, and expansion permits, unless these requests are part of an application that must be heard by the City Council, in which case we make a recommendation and they make the final decision. Anyone dissatisfied with a final Planning Commission decision may appeal to the City Council by submitting a written request to city staff within 10 days of this meeting. From a broader standpoint, the city's comprehensive guide plan, zoning ordinance, and subdivision regulations are the city's best efforts to codify a balance between individual rights and community responsibilities. Individual rights are easy to understand. Community responsibilities are more subtle, but the idea is that we, as members of a community, agree to limit our individual rights for the common good of the group. The Planning Division, the Planning Commission, and the City Council are charged with managing this sometimes difficult balancing act. We ask that you keep this broader perspective in mind as we review tonight's applications. To make meetings more efficient, in 2026, the city's boards and commissions have introduced a new process for public comments. If you would like to speak at tonight's meeting, fill out a comment card at the speaker's podium, include your name and the topic that you wish to address. The cards will be collected before the public hearing item. I'll announce your name when it's your turn to speak, and I apologize in advance for any mispronunciations. Again, welcome. Staff, will you please call roll?
Jan? Hanson?
Here.
Henry?
Here.
Brink?
Here.
Minion?
Here.
Waterman?
Here.
Banks?
Here.
Chair Maxwell.
Here. There are 7 of us seated tonight. All right. Next is the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes, Ms. Thomas?
There are no changes this evening.
All right. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Motion, Henry.
I'll second.
Second, Banks. All those say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next is the approval of the minutes of the December 18th, 2025 commission meeting. Any changes? No, we have a motion to approve the agenda, the minutes.
Make the motion.
Motion, Minion.
Second.
Second, Brink. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next up, moving right along, is report from staff.
Thank you, Chair. I almost said Mayor. Chair, you wouldn't believe how many times at the council I call them all commissioners. Chair Maxwell and Commission. I have 4 items this evening. First is a report from the January 12th council meeting. There was one item on that agenda that the Planning Commission had considered. That was Oakland Woods Estates. That was essentially, if you recall, a reapproval of a 2-lot subdivision on the east side of Oakland Road. It had been approved in the past but never finalized. So it was a reapproval, and the council did approve that on their consent agenda. They also reappointed Commissioners Minion and Maxwell to the Planning Commission for 2-year terms, and reappointed Commissioner Hanson to the Zoning Ordinance Update group, though converted his role from Planning Commission representative to, we'll call, citizen at large. My second note for this evening is that we will be canceling the February 5th Planning Commission meeting due to lack of complete items. We do have applications kind of in the hopper waiting to come before you, but we as staff have called them incomplete because we don't have all the data and information that we need in order to review those and provide a recommendation. So there are some things coming down the pipeline. They're just not ready for you yet. So your next meeting will be February the 19th. Third, the Boards and Commissions dinner, just to get that on your schedule if you don't have it already, will be held April the 29th, which is a Wednesday. I'm not sure who the speaker is yet, but we want to do that. Ms. Wishnek has one more announcement, and then I have a presentation.
We have Family Fun Day here. The fire department does on Saturday. That will be held from 10 until 1. And so lots of activities, some chili and apple cider, etc. So I know it's going to be chilly, but if you want to hang out at the fire department for a period of time, come on down. It's right here on campus. Thanks.
And then my last thing this evening is tonight is Commissioner Henry and Commissioner Hansen's last meeting with us. They were both appointed to the commission back in 2018. And as we like to do, I'm going to do some look back on their time on the commission, for better or worse. I'm not sure if you want to see these numbers. But during that time, between your appointments and December 31st of last year, you reviewed 894 applications, attended 166 Planning Commission meetings, and if we kind of average out that time, basically you spent 2 full months, work months, just sitting in this chair. Your review resulted in construction of over 3,000 multi-household units, and 27% of those are affordable, which I believe Ms. Wishnak will tell you that our actual affordable housing policy is we want to get up to 20%, but we were beyond that in those 8 years. 105 single family or single household lots were created during that time, and $96 million in new commercial construction was approved. You didn't approve those dollar amounts, obviously, but you reviewed and approved projects that resulted in commercial construction. I did pull out a project from each year, and I think that they really showcase the variety of things that you looked at. In 2018, first of its kind in Minnesota, indoor skydiving. People come from actually around the country. They know where these iFlies are and they visit them. In 2019, we reviewed Highcroft Meadows, which was a development off of Orchard Road on the north side. It used to be we called it the old horse farm on the site, and it was really the first in many, many years of a small lot development. We're at 12 to 15,000 square foot lots, and what I would say is relatively small scale construction of new homes. In 2020 then, during virtual times for this group, we reviewed The Point, which is now called Amira, on what had been a very large and vacant lot on the Carlson campus. And I think, Ms. Wishnak, that building was nearly fully rented upon completion, and has been wildly successful, thus the townhomes, rental townhomes being built to the south. 2021, again, first of its kind, Dick's House of Sport. Those of you that were on the commission know we had many meetings about Dick's House of Sport at Ridgedale. And this model, when I was looking for a photo online, this model has been recreated now in several places throughout the United States. I almost picked one from Tennessee until I realized that was not Ridgedale. 2022, the first new school building built in the Minnetonka School District for decades was the Vantage and Momentum building. In 2023, another small lot, kind of some people call detached townhomes or villa product on Ridgewood Road. for many of you, maybe the longest Planning Commission meeting that you've attended in 2024, the Mills Twin Homes project on the Minnetonka Mills church site in conjunction with Habitat for Humanity. And this one in 2025, I think some people saw as flying under the radar, but as planning staff and community development staff, it was a great project. It's kind of beginning what we hope is a trend of really reinvestment into some of our office buildings in the community that are looking a little tired. So that was a great project for us. So just to conclude, we'll land on this page again, and it's always been clear to staff, and I think the community, that both Commissioner Hanson, Commissioner Henry, that you are very thoughtful in your reviews of projects, even if you tried to be self-deprecating, that you were very thoughtful. Your comments and questions really pointed to your desire to approve projects that are good for the city at large, that are appropriate, and you worked within what are quite frankly the narrow parameters of the Planning Commission to do that. So we've appreciated your work, we will miss you, and we hope that you continue to engage in the life of your community. So with that, I would turn it back to the chair.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. I really appreciate that highlight of these two members who have been role models for me on the commission for sure since I joined it after you guys. Next item on the agenda, I'll save my comments about you guys. We're ready for a report from planning commissioners. Anybody have anything to report this week? Oh, Commissioner Henry.
Oh, just that on Tuesday, we had a Sustainability Commission meeting, and as we talked in the back, but I wanted to make sure that people in the worldwide audience hear this too. But we have a couple of young members that are seniors in high school, and one of them wrote an article championing the Sustainability Commission and the work that we're doing. So that was seen by everybody in the student body and probably their families as well. So I'd say the youth are leaving us in good hands, or we're leaving them in good hands. They're taking the wheel.
Thanks. Anyone else? All right. We then will move on. Item 7 is consent agenda. We have nothing on that agenda item, so we'll move on to public hearings, agenda item number 8. Hold on. Okay. So before we begin consideration of the non-consent agenda item, I'd like to review the steps in the process. First, we'll announce the item. The staff will give a report on that subject. Then the commission will ask questions of staff. Next, the applicant will be invited forward to make a presentation or offer any comments. And then commissioners may ask questions of the applicant at that time. Then the public hearing will be open to anyone here can give comment on the proposal. If you wish to speak, come to the podium, state your name and your address for the record. Please keep your comments brief and try not to repeat points already made. Address your comments or questions to the commission, and then we'll make sure that those get answered, whether they're questions for staff or for the applicant. So the first item, the only item on our non-consent agenda is item 8A, preliminary and final plat with floodplain alteration permit of Elevair Second Edition at 2503 and 2505 Plymouth Road. Ms. Rains, I believe this is your item.
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Yes.
City staff recommends that the Planning Commission recommend that the City Council adopt the resolution approving Elevair Second Edition. This motion requires 4 votes. In 2024, the City approved Elevair, an 8-lot subdivision, which is south of the subject property. Elevair Second Edition is a 2-lot redevelopment. Since 2024, ownership has changed to Swanson Homes, who is the current applicant and property owner, and current developer of Elevair First Edition and would-be Second Edition. For the subdivision process, we'll be using that for processing this project for simplicity, basically to remove existing easements for vacation and required new easements in a more straightforward process so that we can record that plat with Hennepin County. Administrative lot line adjustments is something that we can do outside of coming to Planning Commission. However, with the vacation, it just makes this complex process easier to come as a subdivision. For this proposal, in general, we're starting with 2 lots and finishing with 2 lots. The existing site is east of Plymouth Road, just north of Elevere First Edition, and is generally southeast of Woodhaven. The subject property is really 2 properties. Both are single residential parcels. Both have a shared access going off of Plymouth Road. The 2 original homes and outbuilding have been demolished, so currently the site is unimproved. The site does have a large floodplain generally in the center near the existing property line. And together the properties are just under 2 acres. Swanson Homes is requesting a preliminary and final plat and floodplain alteration permit. As proposed, the project does meet our city code standards. That is for the subdivision, floodplain, and tree protection ordinances. With the redevelopment, there will be a shift in the lot line to the east, and then there'll be a relocation of the existing shared driveway from Plymouth Road, which is a county road, to Emerald Trail. So it'll be a singular access spreading out to the 2 different properties. There'll be floodplain alteration to build up the driveway going to 2505, and then there'll be some grading for stormwater management. During the Elevere First Edition review process, we did send the project to Hennepin County for review. At that time, we received some comments about access. So at that time, they advocated that should this northern 2 parcels be redeveloped, to relocate the access from Plymouth Road, County Road under their jurisdiction, to Emerald Trail. And this proposal reflects those comments. The highest point of the property is in the eastern side, where the further proposed home is, and where one of the original homes was. The lowest point is generally the floodplain area, specifically the biofiltration basin. Within this red outlined area is the proposed grading area. Grading will accommodate the new driveway, the new shared driveway, the larger building pads, floodplain alteration, and the stormwater management facility, which is that biofiltration basin, and then a berm between the first house and Plymouth Road. Elevere Second Edition does have some cross-development proposals. 2 aspects, basically the floodplain alteration and the stormwater management, will either cross over into Elevere First Edition or connect and expand on some portion of that. The cross-development will require alteration of existing existing agreements, specifically the drainage and utility easement, the stormwater management agreement, and then the developer agreement. On this right image is the proposed floodplain alteration. The red area is fill, which would be building up the floodplain area. Blue is cut, meaning excavating or increasing the floodplain capacity. Generally, this proposal is going to increase the cut, meaning increase that floodplain capacity. In general, for floodplain, we don't allow net fill, which means that you cannot have more fill than cut in a proposal. This left image is for stormwater management. For the improvements, which would be an increase in impervious surface area, there is stormwater management required. They're proposing a basin, which would have a utility connecting to the existing stormwater utility from Elevere First Edition, going up into the city's stormwater utility, which is in the Woodbridge Trail right-of-way. Stormwater facilities must control water quality, rate, and volume of runoff. So essentially, all conditions must be at or better than previously existing with these new improvements. For trees, there's a slight difference between the two projects, Elevare First Edition and Second Edition. The First Edition met a city code standard which allowed them to go beyond the standard removal thresholds. Standard removal thresholds would be 35% high priority trees and 50% significant trees. That standard says that, to paraphrase, a density of more than 1 unit per acre or higher, you can exceed those standard thresholds. That's how Elevare First was able to do that. Elevare Second Edition has a density of 0.95 units per acre, meaning they do not meet that standard. So they have to meet our threshold standards. As proposed, they will meet them exactly, removing 15 high priority trees and 21 significant trees. Staff finds that the proposal meets the city code, specifically the subdivision, floodplain, and tree protection ordinances. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission recommend that the City Council adopt the resolution approving the preliminary and final plats and floodplain alteration permit for Elevare Second Edition at 2503 and 2505 Plymouth Road. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Rains. Does anyone on the commission have questions for staff? Commissioner Henry Hansen.
I got up
It's my
there.
last chance. I gotta get it in.
I like it. Thank you, Chair. Bria, thank you. For the trees, since the applicant's kind of right on the nose there, has the city and the applicant already done a tree study, and we know which, hey, these are these 15 trees, these are these 21 trees, or is that kind of still in flight?
Chair, Commissioner, when we get an application, one of the required items is a tree survey and inventory. As part of our city review process, our development team has someone from Natural Resources who will go out to the site and verify the trees. So they've already reviewed it and verified the trees.
Cool, thank you.
Commissioner Brink.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just a question on access again. I'm thinking more emergency access, fire, police, if they've reviewed this, because it would appear in the old situation when access was directly off of Plymouth Road via Woodbridge Trail, emergency access seemed like it was, a lot closer, a lot better. Now it's kind of a little more circuitous, via Emerald Trail. I'm just wondering if police and fire have looked at this and they're okay with it.
Commissioner Chair Brink, Chair Commissioner Brink. As part of the development team, we do have fire staff that review this. They did not mention any comments of concern.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Banks.
Thank you, Chair. Just one question about the access. Since access to these two new properties would potentially be from, I guess that's Emerald Trail, what would happen to Woodbridge Trail? What would happen to that that road that is currently used for these properties?
Chair Maxwell, Commissioner Banks. Okay, sorry, just waiting for it. No, it's okay, I was waiting for it to stop. So there is a right-of-way, which is the Woodbridge Trail right-of-way. Half of it is shown here. The other half is down on the subject property. That is actually being proposed for vacation because we no longer require it. This northern portion was not included in that vacation proposal because it is not owned by the applicant. So they would need the property owners to agree to that, whereas they were just focusing on their own project.
And if I may add a little bit more, just to maybe people will recollect that there's actually not a roadway there right now. It's just a right-of-way for construction of a road. And when Elevare 1 came in, I think it was called Emerald Estates when it first came in, the proposal was to put a road, punch through a road from Plymouth Road to the east, connecting to Emerald Trail, which would then connect further to the south. That had been the city's plan for these properties for decades. And during that review process, it became very clear from residents in Emerald Trail that that was not something they supported, and ultimately the city council agreed with that. And so it was clear to at least city staff that there would never be a roadway connection, at least not in the near term in that area. And so we are comfortable with the vacation of the right-of-way. The Planning Commission actually doesn't review vacations, which is maybe kind of a missing link here. That is something that the council reviews. I would say that there are utilities in that area, so the city would maintain utility easements to ensure we still can have those there.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Commissioner Henry.
Thanks, Chair. Let's see, a few questions. With the floodplain alteration, this was I'm assuming it was natural, and then when they talk about that they're cutting and filling and there's a net gain in floodplain, is that measured by surface area or is it measured by volume?
Chair Maxwell, Commissioner Henry, it is measured by volume.
Okay, that's what I thought. Looking at the area, it hasn't changed, but they're cutting more out. Okay, can you explain the reason why between the first and second additions that there's a fill needed between the floodplain? It would seem like it would ease drainage if you didn't have to fill an area. That red stripe roughly in the middle.
Chair, Commissioner, I would defer to the applicant.
Okay, I'll ask them the question when they come up. I think I know the answer to this question too, but there was a slide where it showed in red outline that part of the property, that's it, the one, it needs to be filled or graded anyway. Can you remind everybody at home too, is there a maximum percentage of a proposal that you can grade, or is there none and it's only based on the tree ordinance?
Chair, Commissioner, so this outline would be based off of meeting the code standards for the tree protection ordinance. We don't have we don't have a maximum as far as the area for grading. Obviously, apart from being on their property.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, you mentioned before about the tree ordinance where you said that if there was more than one, let's see, if there's less than 1 acre per house, then it's not beholden to the tree ordinance, is that correct? Or is it just the opposite?
The opposite.
Okay, so if there's more than 1 acre, lots are larger, then they're not beholden to those original percentages.
1 unit per acre, more than that, yes.
More than 1 unit per acre, which means that for a unit that can be on a lot that's smaller than an acre?
It means an acre or bigger.
Acre or bigger, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. With 1 acre or bigger lots, then what are the threshold percentages of the tree ordinance? Are they have to follow anything, or is it a certain amount?
That I will ask Susan to answer.
Chair Maxwell and Commissioner Henry, the ordinance limits tree removal to these thresholds. And then the ordinance goes on to say if a developer chooses to or wants to exceed these thresholds, they cannot develop at more than 1 unit per acre. So essentially it caps the density. It does not cap the tree removal.
Okay, so theoretically they could take many more trees out than what the original thresholds were if they had a higher density. Okay.
Which is, Ms. Rishnek is reminding me, and as Bria noted in her presentation, is what happened with the previous developer on Elevere to the south.
Thank you.
Other questions? All right, I have one. You mentioned that there's a requirement for an agreement with Elevair One for the floodplain alteration. Is that something that has been done already? And is that something that the city is required to do or that the developer is required to do?
Chair Maxwell, there's multiple agreements that need to be revised just because there was already agreements completed with Elevair first. And because Elevair Second will be impacting that work, that is why we have to revise them. No, we have not revised those documents at this time. We do them together, so it's a city formatted, city attorney formatted document. The applicant will do a draft. City staff will review it, make sure that it meets all of our standards and is acceptable, and then it is recorded with the county.
So is it something that the Elevair One developer has to agree to? So this would be contingent upon that agreement being obtained?
Chair Maxwell, I believe that our agreements are with Swanson Homes for Elevair First Edition, so they are the same applicant.
Okay.
And if I may add on to that, because this all happened after the Planning Commission reviewed the development with a different developer, when the new developer came on board, the city worked to transfer all of those agreements to Swanson Homes, which is the new developer. And so that happened behind the scenes. That was not something that was required to come before this body. But the new developer, Swanson Homes, had to meet all of the conditions of that original development. So as Ms. Raines noted, the agreements are with Swanson Homes. They own this property. I don't think that they'll fight the new agreements.
All right, understood. Thank you. Any other comments or questions for staff from the commission? Commissioner?
Maybe just one, and maybe for the applicant, just an early softball. But Bria, like, we now have this, I don't know, for lack of a better word, a bigger development to the south, and then this skinnier French fry stacked on top. So I'm curious from a developer perspective and a planning commissioner or a planner perspective, how do these two feel tied in, I guess, and feel like one neighborhood? Because, like, that's what they're going to feel like, I think, to 95% of people that drive up and down Plymouth Road. So is there trails, or is it just two random houses that face north and 8 other houses that are grouped together? So that's kind of one thing maybe I'd be curious for your opinion on. Like, do they sync up, in your opinion? And that might be for the applicant to talk through too, but professional insights. So,
Chair Maxwell, Commissioner Hanson, I would say that visually looking at the houses, they're all roughly the same size. Yes, there will be some separation as far as access. We don't have any notes or any plans shown right now for trails, but that is something that the developer could do as the owner of both additions. Obviously, they'd need to work with staff to make sure they're not going in through any floodplains and, so on and so forth, but.
All right. I think that's it for questions for staff. At this time, I'll invite the applicant forward to make a presentation or give any comments, and then to address any questions that we have for you.
Hello, excuse me, I'm Kurt Swanson, Swanson Homes, owner and developer of both of these. I wasn't involved, as you know, when the first edition was done, because it got approved, and then we bought the project or the property from them. So, but when we had an option for these two sites on the north side, and they were tied in because of the way the water flowed through there, so they kind of had to be part of that first edition initially. We had the option from the landowner to buy them, and we thought it would make sense. Why not do that? Kind of tie it together. Your question about actually having them so you can kind of walk from different lots. If it would have worked out to have that, fine, but we're calling it Elevare Second just because it's right next to the first and we can market it all as one, but it isn't necessarily meant to be that, you know, all the people in the first edition or that is all, excuse me, all one neighborhood. It's more just single-family lots that are next door, and so we're marketing it all as one. Obviously, they'll be accessing off of Emerald Trail, and I'm sure the people that buy in the second edition probably be more neighborly with the Emerald Trail folks than they will but you never know. You back up neighbors, maybe, I guess we'll see, but there won't be a direct access. But anyway, is there any questions of that or of us, of Swanson Homes? I don't know if you've been through there. The first edition anyway, we've got a model home going. We will be completing in June for the Artisan Home Tour. I welcome all of you to stop out and see us. We've got 2 of them under construction right now that are sold in the neighborhood, 2 others in design, and some other interests. So I'm hopeful that over the next probably 2 years we'll be able to wrap up the neighborhood. It should go pretty quickly, but it's going very well, and we feel fortunate to be building here. So any questions anyone has of me?
Thanks, Mr. Swanson. Commissioner Banks, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Kurt,
Yeah.
for the information. Just a question about construction for the 2, Elevare 2, I guess is what you're calling it. Obviously, there's a road off of Elevare Court for all of construction trucks for that first subdivision. How would you handle construction and traffic and trucks to the 2 homes?
Well, it'll probably be a combination. You know, since how is the existing driveway there, I would think that we would maybe try to use that somewhat. But I'm not going to say that all the construction would come through there. Obviously, there's public road right there with Emerald Trail to use as well, but we like to try to minimize that, especially with the heavy equipment and that type of thing. So that's something that we're thinking about doing. We haven't really gone over that with the city to see if there's any issues or concerns with that, but that was kind of our intent.
And then my second question, is there a association, home association?
No,
for
there,
it? Okay.
there is not.
Okay, so the 2 homes wouldn't have to
Right.
be, okay, great. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Questions? Commissioner Henry.
Thank you. I asked the city staff, and they recommended I talk to you about this, but can you explain why there's scheduled to be fill in between the first and second editions in the floodplain?
Well, actually, I'll let Mike, he's the engineer, and he can answer it much better than me.
Thank you.
I'm Mike St. Martin, President, Principal Civil Engineer with Laux. To your question about the fill, we had built the original pond as part of the first edition, and as part of that, there is a dike essentially created at the north property line. And so that's going to be maintained as the second phase comes through. There's 2 different outlets. There's a primary outlet in the northwest corner of that pond that goes to storm sewer that crosses the proposed second edition property. And there's another outlet that went to the ditch that was crossing the property that was adjacent to the metal shed that was there. And now that outlet's been reconfigured, and it's still routing now through the secondary biofiltration basin, which has its own outlet. So in tandem, those 2 systems are going to work together. The south one is still going to maintain the same amount of drainage it was doing for the south property, and then it'll have a combination outlet that goes through for the 2 new lots in the second edition.
Okay, that's good. And then since you have experience in it, I'm just curious about if you scoop out more and you put some fill in other areas, how do you know empirically that the floodplain will drain as well as what was there naturally? You know, a lot of people say, well, we're just going to have a net gain, but it's not in this case, but some people scoop in a different area physically, but if the soil type is different, doesn't drain as well, then it may not be as effective of a flood basin. So if you could speak to that, I'm curious.
Yeah, and the soils in this area are fairly tight. They don't have much drainage underneath them. So most of it's going into the existing ditch and existing storm sewer that's in Woodbridge Trail. And so the proposed system has an infiltration basin and a biofiltration basin. So we add a media and a drain tile to help filter that drainage and go through that system and then to a pipe. So it's more of an engineered system versus a natural swale and basin that had been established. So as Bree had mentioned, we're adding more volume. So we're going to get more total volume and have an engineered system that's going to be maintained versus something that was just a low area kind of in the back of the woods. So it'll be more of a maintained system.
And in your experience, the maintained system works as well or better than the natural swale?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And this may be more of a question for the applicant too, but city staff in their presentation talked about the applicant desired to vacate the Woodbridge Trail after the construction is complete. I'm just curious if the applicant, if you've spoken with neighbors to the north to see, it sounds like you have to have buy-in from them to fully vacate it. You can't just vacate the south half of the trail, if I'm reading that correctly. Bree, you can confirm on that one.
Chair, Commissioner, they are allowed to ask for the vacation of the portion on their site, which is what they are proposing and asking for. If they wanted to also do the northern portion, which is not on their property, they'd have to get that property owner's approval.
Oh, okay, so city staff could approve vacation of half of this, and they could still maintain half of an ordinance? Or half of the easement?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's interesting, thanks.
Anybody else? Questions for the applicant? All right, I think that's it for now. If we have any questions after the public hearing, I'll call you back. Before I open public hearing, is there anybody here who wants to speak? All right, I will open the public hearing, and I will close the public hearing without reading all the details. Okay. Any other questions, comments? We're up to comments now on this item at the commission. Commissioner Waterman.
I guess I'll go. I think this makes a lot of sense. It's existing 2 lots. It's guided for low density. It doesn't seem like it'll have a big negative impact on the rest of the neighborhood. If anything, it'll be an improvement with the drainage. Looking at it on the screen, and you can't help but notice when you drive up Plymouth Road, there's a lot of drainage in that pond there already. So it's nice to see that this will be developed, and I know Swanson does a really, really high quality product. So I'm looking forward to supporting this.
Who's next? Commissioner Henry.
Thank you. It's telling by there's lack of people that wrote in to either approve it or be in a position to it, and there's no neighbors here, so usually no news is good news from the neighbor's perspective. So I think that's an indication that you put together a thoughtful proposal and you answered all of our questions. So I think it does blend pretty well with the first edition. Yeah, to Commissioner Hansen's point, there is some discontinuity between first and second, but I'm not sure if that can be helped. So Emerald Trail people get some new neighbors, and that's good. And then, like you said, if you want to go and talk across the fence in the backyards, that would be good too. And there's always a sidewalk. So generally, I like the design. I think it's thoughtfully designed, and I'm looking forward to supporting this one too.
Thanks, Commissioner Henry. Anybody else? Commissioner Hansen.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I like the addition. I think you're adding, 2 more quality homes into Minnetonka, so I think that's great. I'm kind of with Commissioner Henry. Like, I feel like this property or this part of Minnetonka typically is, we hear a lot from the neighbors here, so I was almost convinced that this wasn't the same. They couldn't be connected because there wasn't comments to go through. So for that reason, I'm excited to support this. I'd say maybe one curious point just to noodle on as a commission, but I don't remember a time when we've had a 1 edition and then a 2nd edition, and then they change ownership before the project's complete. So maybe that's something for staff and the commission to work together on, is hey, this event happened kind of mid-flight. It can't change your approval of project 1, but just so you know, but, you know, it's probably not something you have to mandate, but I think that's that's curious for me, so. But yeah, I look forward to supporting this as a last hurrah.
Commissioner Brink?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I support the plan here. It's a good plan, and it's being we're replacing 2 houses with 2 others in the same spot, so it's not markedly different. You know, it's reassuring to me that both the second edition and the first edition have the same owners, the same engineer. So there's confidence with how the storm drainage system is going to work. And I guess if the ownership does change in the future, I would assume in the maintenance agreements it'll address that. So I'm fully supportive of the plan here.
Thank you. Anybody else? Commissioner Minion?
I always get concerned when I see changing of watersheds and drainage and things like that. And I'd like to say thank you for the city and to the applicants for working together and running this by both the city engineers, the county engineers, and the Minnehaha Watershed District. It's makes it a lot easier to say yes, and I'm excited to see the project go. Thank you for doing it.
Commissioner Banks?
Sure. I'm in full agreement with this as well. Looking forward to see all of the homes come to fruition. I'll probably take you up on that offer to do a tour of the home when it's available. I would just say be mindful of the construction and the traffic with these 2 homes, since you're coming through an existing neighborhood, and just be good stewards of, or be good neighbors in terms of, you know, watching for, I know there's a lot of children in that area and things of that nature, but other than that, yeah, good luck with this project. So.
I agree. I support this one. As Commissioner Brink said, replacing 2 homes with 2 more homes, it's kind of hard to disagree with that. The access move onto Emerald Trail from Plymouth, I think is a good one, and considering we didn't hear any comments from the neighbors on Emerald Trail, I'm okay with that as well. That Woodbridge Trail access is where my kid's bus stop is, so these poor kids who live here have to walk all the way around. That's the only comment, which is not grounds to approve or disapprove a project. So overall, I think this is a good project, and I'm looking forward to supporting this one. It looks like we're ready for a motion. Who would like to? Should we have Henry and Hanson make their final motions here? Anybody who wants to make a motion, may make a motion.
Oh my gosh, I want to. I would love to make that motion, Chair.
Right. A motion, Hanson.
And I'll second it.
Second, Henry. Staff, please poll the commission.
Hanson?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Brink?
Yes.
Minion?
Yes.
Waterman?
Yes.
Banks?
Yes.
Chair Maxwell?
Yes. The motion passes. That is a recommendation to the City Council, which will be heard at their February 2nd meeting. Good luck with your project. All right, next item on our agenda is other business. Starting with item 9A is the Planning Commission bylaws and policies. Do you have a presentation to make on this, Ms.
I
Thomas?
just have a very brief statement to make, and that being, those of you that were on the commission last year will recall that we actually did a pretty big overhaul of the bylaws and policies last year based on conversation that the commission had had over the last few years. So we're not recommending any changes this year. If you do have things that you would like us to look into, the direction here this evening would be just to give us direction to that effect, and we'll come back with something in the future.
All right, thank you. Anybody have questions, comments on bylaws? Commissioner Henry.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Not a bylaw, but something for future generations of commissioners to consider too. Sometimes we talk about if an applicant likes to have maybe 10 feet of fill, there's currently no fill maximum or minimum that somebody can alter their property. And in some cases, it seems like it's rather extreme. So just floating it out there that if the commissioner and city planning thinks that it may be beneficial for the development of the city to cap either a maximum or a minimum amount of fill, it could be worth looking into.
And Chair and Commissioner Henry, we've made note of that. That sounds like something that would be a good conversation for our zoning ordinance work group, because those types of things are embedded in the zoning ordinance, really not in policy. So
Thanks for taking note of it.
Any other comments, questions? All right. I think we're done with that one then, Ms. Thomas. You don't even need to take an action. So let's move on to item 9B, which is elections.
And for this item, Chair Maxwell, when we redid the bylaws last year, we took out the requirement that you had to hold an election on, there was a certain date that was in there. We just said in the bylaws, now you have to hold an election at least once a year for your officers. When that election happens is really up to you as a body. You can hold more than one election if it's needed in any given year. We just have historically done our elections near the beginning of the year, so we thought we would keep in practice of what we did last year, which was the second meeting in January. There are two officers for the Planning Commission, a chair, which obviously presides over the meetings. The vice chair performs the duties of the chair if they're not able. And then the Sustainability Commission liaison is something that also is appointed by this body to the Sustainability Commission. That commission, unlike you who meet twice a month typically, they meet every other month. So much less of a meeting schedule. And with that, this is really your conversation and your decisions as to how you would like to proceed and the elections themselves.
All right, thanks. I think I'd like to start with work our way from the bottom up there for the start with sustainability discussion. I know, Matt, that's been yours for so long. I feel like nobody will be able to fill your shoes. But is there anybody here who would like that role, or would anybody like to nominate somebody else for that role?
I'll put my name in the hat, but if somebody else wants it, that's fine too. Somebody has more experience or whatever, but otherwise I'd be more than happy to step in. And hopefully Mr. Henry leaves his phone number so we can call for questions.
Thanks, Commissioner Minion. Anybody else have
Chair.
comments on that?
I do want to remind you, the council will choose two replacements. When is the next Sustainability Commission meeting? March. So we actually don't need an appointee till March. So I didn't think of that when Susan and I were talking about the meeting. So if you want to wait so that you have the new members too, I don't know who will end up being, I don't know if they'll be interested or not. So if you want to make it more holistic in terms of who's considering, if you wish, just offer that as information.
Yeah, that is a good point, that we'll have new people coming in if some of them really are gung-ho for that. Dana, is that okay with you if we move that and we wait
Just
until
fine.
after after new members start? I think that's a good point, just to make sure that the new commission that we have everybody included. I do think, staff, if you disagree with me, let me know. I do think it makes sense to elect vice chair and chair from the body that's here, so we have people who are experienced in the running of the commissioner scene, rather than having freshman members in those roles. Is there anybody who would like to nominate anyone or give comments on either of those roles? Commissioner Henry?
Before we get into that, I wonder if I could put a plug in for Commissioner Minion to be on the Sustainability Commission. My opinion is that somebody who has experience as a planning commissioner, they step into the Sustainability Commission, and it's a lot more seamless of a process versus somebody who's brand new to the Planning Commission, and then they'd be brand new to the Sustainability Commission too. So I was really grateful to see that you threw your hat in the ring and that you'd be willing to serve on the Sustainability Commission. That would be, in my opinion, a much greater benefit than somebody who would step in brand new. So take it for what you will. I'm soon to be no longer part of the Planning Commission, but I really would see the value in having Commissioner Minion be part of the Sustainability Commission. So take it for what you will.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Henry. I think that's a good point.
Oh, and I can I can speak candidly, I suppose. I usually do, but just to make sure that people know on the Planning Commission that our current chair has done a wonderful job, but after a lot of the meetings, she always laments that she can't speak first or second. She always has to speak last. So I just implore other people in the Planning Commission to assume the duties of the chair and let Chair Maxwell do some of the other things where she really liked doing that in the past. If that's what.
Thank you. I am willing to step down if there's anybody here who would like to serve as chair. I'm also happy to serve. If you guys would prefer to have me serve, that's fine too. All right, Commissioner Brink.
No, I will just say I'm fine with you continuing in the chair position.
All right, thank you.
I agree with that as well. Yep.
Better than fine.
Well, not to put anyone on the spot then, I think Commissioner Waterman would be a very good chair, and then to take some of the burden off of our current chair. So I'd like to put a plug in for David.
Thanks, Commissioner Hanson. Yeah, it's very nice. I know we can have these, like, now that we're not beholden to a single election, I think it makes sense to kind of stick with the steady hand that Commissioner Maxwell has put, and we can kind of reevaluate maybe mid-year. So I would not be interested in the chair position. I'd be interested, but I cannot commit to that, unfortunately. So I think with that, I'll nominate Chair Maxwell for chair again.
I'll second that.
All right. Nomination Waterman, second Minion. I have to poll this one, right? All right, staff, will you?
I just, for the record, call for the nominations 2 more times, just so that the record is clear. Sorry, it's
Okay.
just rules of order.
Okay.
Okay. Any more nominations?
Any more nominations?
And then last time.
And then any other nominations for chair?
Perfect. Thank you. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
This is just for the chair.
This is nominations for chair. All right, no other nominations for chair.
Thank you. And then now we
Yes.
can take.
And now please poll the commission.
Thank you. Hanson,
Yes.
Henry,
Even though she'd rather not, I'm grateful that she's doing it. So yes, I'm in support of it.
and then Brink,
Yes.
Minion,
Yes.
Waterman,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
and Chair Maxwell.
Yes,
Okay.
a motion carries. All right, next up is vice chair. Commissioner Waterman, you're the current vice chair.
That's true, and it's a wonderful thing. I'd like to nominate Commissioner Banks if he's interested in the role.
Commissioner Banks?
I'm happy to do it. I think you two make a great team. If you want to continue, and as you mentioned earlier, we could reevaluate mid-season, but totally up to you. Happy to accept it.
As continuity with the chair, I'm also in support of continuity with the vice chair. So I think that Commissioner Waterman would be a fine co-chair in this next term, however long it would be.
All right, so it sounds like potentially a nomination for Waterman for vice chair. Anybody want to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion Henry,
I'll second.
second Banks. Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Any other nominations for vice chair? All right, I don't see any other nominations. Staff, will you please poll the commission?
Thank you. Hanson,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
Brink,
Yes.
Minion,
Yes.
Waterman,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
Chair Maxwell.
Yes. Motion carries. All right, and I think we will still hold off on the Sustainability Commission. I hear your comments, Commissioner Henry, about having the experience there. That comment will still be valid, and I'll make sure that it gets carried forward when we talk about this, when our new members join us. Thank you for that feedback, and thank you, Commissioner Minion, for being willing to step into that role. All right, and that brings us to our final item of the night, which is adjournment. Would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion Henry, second Banks. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries and we are adjourned.
Mr.